a well-known KKK member, Ku Klux Klan, is running for political office, and he may actually win. Okay, let's play the video first.
When did you come out and renounce racism? Because I know you did that in the past.
2019, several times in 2020, but whatever banner I might have been fighting under, the enemy had always been the same, left-wing radicals, socialist.
But the Ku Klux Klan isn't against leftist radicals. They're against black people, Jews. What do you believe now that you didn't believe then?
Like I said, it just depends on who's looking at it. When I've ever read anything like that, it seemed like they were just pro-heritage.
The Ku Klux Klan?
But, well, in some forms. But I'm not here to defend them. That was 28 years ago, and I will not spend one more day I did this last year. No more apologies.
But when I was looking at social media, you had put this picture here saying that Jovi Val was coming to speak at one of your rallies here. And then this is him, Jovi Val, with a racist, and I mean, this is a Nazi hand gesture. And then he posted here, "Get in, we're hunting Juden." So he's talking about Jews. And that's him at your platform. Do you think that's someone who's a white supremacist?
I wouldn't call him a white supremacist. I think Jovi's got some issues. I didn't know he was quite that extreme.
But that was posted before you invited him. When you invited him and said you were bringing him here, he had already posted those things.
Yeah, well, Jovi was involved a lot with the MAGA. I wasn't aware of any of his other street activism.
Street activism? That's what we call street activism. Listen, I got a whole lot of this guy. Now, he says he denounced racism in 2019, 2020. Well, he did denounce racism in 2021, and then he qualified to run for commissioner right after he said, "Oh no, racism, wrong, bad." And now he's saying because he did denounce it in 2020, obviously everybody just needs to move on. We have a picture of him with his crew back in the day. Let's show that picture. Street activist, according to him. All right, his name is Chester Doles. Mr. Doles is a former leader of the KKK and a neo-Nazi National Alliance leader. Filed paperwork earlier this year to run for a spot on the Lumpkin County Board of Commissioners. That's in Georgia in 2022. He ramped up his campaign. Yes, that's what he's doing, all right? There's a significant history of racism and racial violence connected to this Klan's member. He's been in prison twice with white nationalists in Charlottesville in 2017's deadly Unite the Right rally. And while he claims to have left white supremacist groups behind, stays in contact with skinheads, neo-Confederates, and other Klansmen. Even so, he believes he can win running as a what? Republican, of course, a Republican and an ardent supporter of former President Donald Trump. His campaign signs carried the warning, "Stop socialism, save America." A slogan borrowed from controversial US Representative, none other than Marjorie Taylor Greene, who represents Georgia's deeply conservative 14th district. Peas in a pod, right? Now, remember, there's a reason why virtually 100% of these guys are Republicans and 100% of them are Trump supporters. You cannot dismiss the significance of that argument. It gets deeper. He says, and I quote, "This is not a publicity stunt," he told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. "This is not about me. This is about the community and what is best for the community." In some respects, this is the moment Doles has been waiting for. His campaign rhetoric, peppered with his anti-critical race theory rhetoric, illegal immigration, and left-wing social justice movement, bears striking similarities to mainline Republican candidates in Georgia and elsewhere. So here's the connection. You mean to tell me that the white supremacist message, the white nationalist message, is the exact same as the overall Republican message in the United States of America? Yep. Yes, it is. And the current political climate has allowed some candidates with a checkered past like this guy, a past of violence against others because of his racism, even checkered presence, to mount successful campaigns. This month, at least seven people who were at the January 6th Trump rally and terrorist attack have won races around the country. Okay, let me give you some more background to this guy. Doles was also convicted in 1993 on federal charges related to the beating of a black man in Maryland. Doles was sentenced to 7 years in prison and served 4. In 2003, Doles, then an activist with the National Alliance, was arrested on federal firearms charges. The charge netted him another 4 years in prison, okay? Here's what else he said. Now, this is the part that should cause everyone alarm, even if you subscribe to a Republican ideology. He said, and I quote, "I'm running for county commissioner and not something ridiculous like Congress or state senate. I think if this thing does pop off and things go south in America with martial law and all that, it's going to be your local sheriff and county commissioners that's going to mean something in your area." Now, what do you think he's going to do? You think he's going to go around and attack other bigots and whites? If he feels like the government has gone too far, the federal government has overreached, if in his make-believe world, in his fabricated societal construct, if he thinks the federal government is overreaching, who do you think he reaches for? He reaches for black bodies. He reaches for brown bodies. He utilizes his bias and his racism, prejudice, and bigotry to institutionalize the racism. You see, this guy's a shining example of institutional racism because he wants to seek and obtain political power for the reason of implementing systemic and institutional racism in his local jurisdiction. Attorney, what do you see here?
I mean, first, I can't believe this is 2021 and this is happening. Yeah. Of course, we know that Trump having won and still highly popular despite his racist comments and cuddling with these groups is what is allowing this to happen. The other thing is the gerrymandering, the redistricting that is creating districts that are so extreme. It is allowing people like him, which really are horrific. I don't even think it's that past. He didn't really try to distance himself that much. It wasn't just rhetoric, like you said, he actually was violent, these racist violent crimes as well. And he may very well win. In California, we actually have a system where when you vote, the top 2 candidates move on to the general election. It can be 2 Democrats, it can be 2 Republicans, and the idea is to try to appeal to the broadest group of people. If we can't get the voting rights bill passed and eliminate gerrymandering, we have to get something like this, because if they only have to speak to an extreme group of people, we will have more and more extreme candidates like him, which is really scary because, like you said, the things he plans on doing, are very scary here as county commissioner.